It was in September of 2003 when Valve introduced Steam to the world. At first, it was designed by Valve to quickly update their games. By 2005, Valve invited other game publishers to distribute the games through the Steam platform. At first, only a few publishers began to use Steam. By 2007, other larger game publishers joined Steam, including id Software, Eidos Interactive, and Capcom. From that point forward, Steam began to rocket as a distribution platform among game publishers and players. Indeed, by 2014, the total annual game sales on Steam were estimated at approximately $1.5 billion. In 2019, Steam had well over 34,000 games with 95 million monthly active users. In December of 2021, Valve plans to introduce Steam Deck, Valve's first attempt at a handheld gaming computer. It will be running on Steam OS 3.0, with promises that the vast majority of Steam Library's collection will run on Deck. It remains to be seen whether Steam Deck will be a success, but it sure looks promising. In this tutorial, I will show you how to install Steam into your Batocera system. Soon, you will be able to enjoy the majority of your Steam Library collection all within your Batocera system. Let's do it! Greetings everyone, and welcome to Batocera Nation. If you're watching this video, that means you're excited about installing Steam into your Batocera system. If you haven't heard, the developers from Batocera already got gamepad support and audio support for Batocera. Unfortunately, however, you cannot do this in Batocera version 31. You can only do this in Batocera version 32 and above. So if you're running Batocera version 31, you're going to have to upgrade to beta version of Batocera 32. If you saw my last tutorial on how to install Flatpak into your Batocera system, I've got some great news for you. If you remember, we had a hard time trying to install Windows games into Steam Linux. Well, it turns out I found a really great trick that's going to help us to install the vast majority of our Steam Windows games into Steam Linux. So you definitely want to stay with this video. And also, towards the conclusion of this tutorial, I've got a major and wonderful surprise. For the time being, I'm going to keep it a secret, so you've got to watch this to the very end, okay? So, the very first thing you're going to need to do is to upgrade your Batocera version 31 to a beta version. And to do that, you have to press Start on your gamepad, go into Updates and Downloads, and here, select Beta instead of Stable, okay? And then from there, just go ahead and make sure all this is clicked too. And then from there, just go ahead and start update, and it'll update, okay? It'll take a while before it finishes it, so you have to be very patient with the process. But once you update, you will be able to enjoy Steam on your Batocera system with audio and gamepad support. Now then, the next thing we need to do is to determine your IP address to your Batocera system. To find that out, just go ahead and press Start on your gamepad or spacebar on your keyboard, and go into Network Settings. And then right there, IP address. So copy that down on a piece of paper because you're going to need that information for the software we're about to use. All right. So once you copy your IP address, go ahead and leave your Batocera system on, okay? Because it has to connect with your desktop. All right. So now I'm going to move over to my desktop. Okay, so we're back on our desktop and we're ready to install Flatpak on our Batocera system. Now, I got to warn you, this is a little more complicated than what we have been doing in the past. So I am going to go ahead and create on my website a page, okay, right around here called Flatpak. And that will give you a detailed step-by-step instructions. So if you don't follow everything in this video tutorial, don't worry. Just go to the website, go to the page, and you'll see all the step-by-step instructions, okay? All right. So the first thing we need to install two pieces of software. This is the first one, okay? So go ahead and download that, okay? The second piece of software you're going to need is called Putty, okay? For you Windows users, download this right here. And I will be providing a direct link from the website, okay? So this one and this one. All right, so let's go ahead. I already got this already installed, okay? And let's go ahead and load that one up first. All right, so remember I asked you to go ahead and copy your IP address of your Batocera system? This is the reason why. You need that information right here, okay? Keep this the same, keep this the same, 22 and SFTP, okay? Your username is root. It always will be root unless you change it. Your password is going to be Linux, Linux, okay? Not capitalized, okay? So once you got that, let's go ahead and log in. Okay, that's your Batocera system. All right, so let's go up, and let's go into this folder. All right, and let's go into Flatpak. Okay, then just go into the info text. Okay, this info text is absolutely essential. This gives us all the commands we need to be able to successfully install Flatpaks and the apps that we want to use, okay? So I've got that. I'm going to close that out. I've got that already in my Notepad++, okay? All right, so I'll keep that handy, all right? Now we also need to install Putty, okay? And if you click on that, it's going to tell you that's not found. This is where you need to put Putty in this folder. Program files x86 and Putty, okay? So let's go ahead and minimize this. Go ahead and install Putty. All right, so we don't want it there. That's a default folder, program files. We don't want it there. So we're going to have to change it to right here. And then put Putty. Okay. Install. Okay. Close this out. Let's go back to this app here. Go to Commands. Go into Open in Putty. All right. So there we are. All right. So the password is like the other one, Linux. Now your cursor won't move at all when you're typing it, so don't worry. Okay, hit Enter. All right. So now we're going to that file we had earlier, okay? The first thing we need to do, we need to install the repo, okay? So go ahead and select all of that. Copy. Minimize it. Go back over here. Right-click on it, and it should automatically appear. See that? Automatically appears. So go ahead and hit Enter. Okay. And now we're ready to proceed. All right, minimize that. Now we can go over here. I also will be providing a link. FlatHub, okay? This is the place where you can find all the different Linux apps. Okay, so for this tutorial, all we're going to do is install Steam, okay? To install Steam, go down, scroll down, and this is the command you have to copy into Putty, okay? So there's a copy button right there. Click on that. It's copied. And now pull up Putty, and then right-click on your mouse, and it shows it right there. Hit Enter. Okay? All right. It's telling me it's already installed, okay? Before we go back to the Batocera system, we need to do one other command. It's very important. You got to go into this one right here. This one right here. Batocera Flatpak Update. Just go ahead and select it and copy it. Copy it. Minimize it. And Enter. Now it's updating all the permission for all those files, okay? All right, it's done. Let's go ahead and exit. Type exit. All right, now let's head back over to our Batocera system. Okay, so we're back in Batocera. Let's go ahead and press start on the gamepad. Game settings, update games list. All right. If you look around, it doesn't seem like it's there at all, right? But it's there. Go to ports, and then you'll see the apps. I'll say Flatpak. Okay. All right. So to separate that from the regular ports, just go ahead, press start again. Go into Game Collection Settings, and then select Group Systems, and we want to unselect that. Okay, unselect it, and then go back. All right, now there's Applications. Okay, so let's go into Applications, and let's go into Steam. Okay, so we are here in my Steam library, and when I first installed Steam and I was trying to install some of the games, I quickly noticed that some of the games were simply not installing. In fact, there's no way to install it, even if I tried to install it. In fact, the vast majority of my games were not installing, but there were other games that were installing. And I quickly noticed that Steam has a library of games that are compatible with Linux. As a matter of fact, if you go to the store and you hit into the search, just go ahead and hit enter. From there, on the right hand side, you can see the Steam OS on Linux. Okay, so that means that the vast majority of these games will be able to install successfully in your Batocera system, provided that you have the correct hardware requirements for the game. Okay, so all these right here, you can see they're also with the icon. All these here are compatible with Linux. Okay. And from there you will be able to install. So all these here are compatible with Linux, okay? And from my Linux collection, about 95% of the games I was able to install without any problems, okay? Now sometimes you do have to configure things to make it compatible with your Batocera system. But for the most part, all these games right here are compatible, okay? So let's go back to my library. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and install Descent 3, all right? So click on that. Here's where it installs it. User data says Flatpak data and all this other stuff. Unfortunately, you cannot pick a different directory. I tried, and it just doesn't work. Furthermore, if you try to move it to another folder, another directory, on let's say on an external hard drive, it doesn't work. I can't get it to work. I even tried to create a link to the Steam folder, but that also didn't work out. So you gotta make sure you have plenty of room in your drive where you install these Steam games. All right, so let's proceed. Okay, so now it's beginning to install and download. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward all this. Okay, it has finished installing. A little bit later on, I'm going to show you gameplay when I show you how to configure the gamepad support for this particular game. Okay, so let's move on to StarWar, okay? I also installed this one just for this tutorial. So let's go ahead and install that one. Let's go ahead and next. Let it do its thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward all this. Okay, so it's done. Let's go ahead and try to play it. Loading up, and then it crashes. One more time to make sure. All right, so it crashes. So if you have a game that's doing that, it's crashing, go ahead and select the game and right-click on it and go into Properties, okay? From here, go into this tab right here to make it compatible, okay? Click on that, Force. Then you've got all these different options, okay? And you may want to experiment with different ones. If one doesn't work, then go to another one, okay? So for this one, I think it was this one that worked, Proton 4.1113. And then go ahead, close that out, and try it again. And you can see it loaded up. And there you go. So that's how you make the games compatible. If they're not compatible, just go into Properties and select one of those Protons, and then it should work. Okay? All right. So again, that's how it's done. All right, let's go ahead and look on this one right here. Go to Properties, a tab right there. Go ahead, force it, and then again, choose the Proton. Okay? Again, most of them tend to work with this one. And from there, you can try to play things out. All right? Then you get this message, okay? Steam Play. Ignore it. It's okay. So go ahead, hit Continue, and then it's going to try to see if it'll work. All right, so you can see it loaded up. In terms of the gamepad support, let's go into Steam, let's go into Settings, let's go into Controller Settings, let's go here. Okay, from there I noticed when it first boots up it looks like this, okay, or it might look like this. Okay, go ahead and deselect everything. You may want to keep this one, but for the most part make sure all these here are deselected, otherwise your games are not going to work. You only need to change it only if it doesn't have gamepad support within the game itself. Okay, but for the most part this setting works for almost all the games. Okay, all right. Now, for these other window games, okay, again, I noticed that I was not able to install them. As a matter of fact, for my collection of 125 games in my library, I was only able to install 26 games, because only 26 games were compatible with Linux. The rest of them, the vast majority, I was not able to install. Nonetheless, I kept reading. Let's go back to the store. However, I noticed when Steam Deck came out, or news about it came out, that they were saying that with Steam OS 3, when it comes out, that the vast majority of your games will be able to be played on your Steam OS, which runs off Linux. And I thought, well, you know what? There has to be a way where I can configure my Windows games so I can play in Linux. So I began to experiment. Let's go back to my library. So what I did was I went to Steam, I went into Settings, I went into Steam Play. And this is the button you have to press. Enable Steam Play for all other titles. Okay? And there for Proton, I went ahead and I selected Proton 4.11-13. Okay? Then it tells me Steam needs to restart. So go ahead and restart it. Okay, so now it's rebooted, and let's go. You can see now it has an install button. So after that, I went ahead and began to experiment, and it turns out that my original 26 games, it says 27 because I also installed Dirt 4, but I was not able to test it out because I don't have a graphics card for my Batocera system. Okay, so that's why I said 26 games. So turns out from there I was able to install about 35 games, and all these games work. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you the breakdown. So it turns out I did not install all the games from my library. Instead, I installed about 87 games. Okay, and out of those 87 games, I got 61 games up and running. 61 games. That means that 70% of all my Steam games from my library are compatible. I can play with it. It's absolutely impressive what Valve has done with Proton, which allows us to play as Windows games. So, from the ones I was not able to install, let me go ahead and share with you which ones I was not able to install. So I was not able to install, for example, Crash. Even though I tried, I couldn't get it. It was not compatible, right? Also, there was Descent, like this one I was not able to install. Duke Nukem, this one right here. Let's see, this one. Okay, some other ones I was not able to install. Sonic Generation, I could not install. It just wasn't working. These right here. Spider-Man almost worked, but in the end, I couldn't pull it off. Some of my old classic Star Wars games I was not able to install, like Rogue Squadron 3D, Shadows of the Empire. And of course, I was not able to install the latest Star Wars game, Squadrons. But again, I know for a fact that they've got this up and running using Proton. So it's only a question of time before we're able to play this on Steam. Maybe by the end of the year, when the Steam Deck comes out, that we'll be able to play with Star Wars Squadrons, which I'm looking forward to. And in these two here, I was not able to install, okay? But everything else that I tried out, it worked, including some of these Ace Combat games. The Batman games, I got those running really good. And some of these other ones here. Call of Duty 4 I got up and running. Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Some of these old classic games as well. Crisis 2 I was able to get up and running. This one. Injustice 2. Injustice Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition. The Lego games, some of these Lego games I was able to install without any problems. They work. This is a nice, great game I was able to install. Some other ones here. Sonic All-Star Racing, which I really enjoy. Star Wars Starfighter I was able to install and get it up and running. And some of these other ones are here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a demonstration. Let's go to big picture mode.
You're ours, bitch. We're gonna have some fun with you. Arkham City is gonna be your group. This won't take long. We're gonna drown you, cat.
Now that they're all taken care of, it's time to get what I came for out of that safe.
Okay. Let's try some more stuff here. All right, let's go to a car racing game here.
Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Control! Got it. Firework. First place.
Okay, you can see there that's working really well. It's played really smooth, without any problems whatsoever. Okay, and again, all these games here, they really work really well on this particular computer system. Now, let me go back over here and select my Linux games here. Okay, I need to go to Descent 3 to show you something. Where is it? Right there. Okay, so for this one, I had to change the controller settings. Okay, so first thing you need to do is go here and force it. So if there's a game where the gamepad support is not enabled or doesn't work, then just go ahead and force it here. Okay, and from here you can configure things. Okay, and this is how I was able to configure things. So for example, I wanted to make R1, R2 my forward and reverse. I was able to change that. So select the button you wanted to change, and in this case Z was reverse. So I clicked on that, and then from there I was able to select the one I wanted right there, Z. Okay, and same thing for the other one. Oh, I had to make that one forward. Selected it, and then I picked A for forward, okay? All right, and of course there's also, these buttons I was also able to change as well. And my D-pad was able to change to those buttons. And this allowed me to move forward, move back, move left, or move right, okay? So again, you have the option of what you want to do, okay? But you got to create that configuration file, okay? And then once you set, then you're able to play with it. And the question is, some of you may be asking yourselves, can Batocera play Crisis? Well, let's find out.
Someone's out there. Incoming fire! Primary target. Affirmative. He's here. Take him down! Target!
Okay, enough of that. So obviously your ability to play a game will be dependent upon your hardware requirements and what you actually have in your Batocera system, okay? You got a good graphics card, you should be able to play a lot of games, maybe 70, 75% of all the games from your library, okay? All right, now let me show you how to exit Steam. Okay, there's two ways. Backspace on that, go to the top here, and you can exit Steam from here, okay? So I think ideally what you should do is, let's go out of here. Let's go into exit big picture. I think ideally what you should do is configure all your games here. And once you got all that configured, then you can go into settings, then go into interface, and then start Steam in big picture mode as soon as it starts, okay? That makes it easier, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and try to exit. Sometimes when you try to exit from this interface, it doesn't work. But the big picture mode always seems to work quite well, okay? So let's go ahead and exit here. Before we wrap up, I got one last pleasant surprise. So it turns out that on July 19, which was this past Monday, I told Nicholas, who happens to be one of the developers for Batocera. I said to him, you know what? It'd be a great idea if somehow we could separate this from application and then give Steam its own little menu up here in the console section. I thought, since we have about 70% of the games working, I think it'd be a great idea for people just to be able to stop playing Steam immediately. Turns out he liked the idea, and I suspected that probably would have it done by the final version of Batocera 32. Lo and behold, Nicholas surprised me yesterday. In one day, he got it up and running. I couldn't believe it. All right, so let me show you what he did. All right, so let me go ahead and press F1. And let's go to this folder. And he's got a whole new Steam folder in this section right here. So let me show you what he did. So he says here the extension is going to be .steam, okay? But it turns out you don't have to worry about none of that. The only thing you have to worry about is this. We have to run this, copy this command, and putty. Once we copy that in putty, automatically it would generate the Steam list for you. Absolutely impressive, all right? So let's go ahead and go back to our desktop, okay? And if you do this, I need you to leave the file manager like this, okay? Because it turns out if you do it from the interface, it tends to freeze up. So just go ahead and leave it in the file manager section, okay? As we perform this update. Okay, so we're back on the desktop and we've got putty already running, ready to go. And let's go to that command. So this is the command you have to enter. Every time you add a new game or delete a game, you have to enter this command, otherwise it won't work, okay? So make sure you do that. So go ahead and copy and paste it and watch what happens. All my games have been added, okay? Now if I go into my folder, you're going to see it. It's populated. Let's go to Steam. You can see it there, okay? It's all there. Now, let's go back to Batocera. I'm going to show you what happens next. All right. Okay, so we're back in Batocera. Now, go ahead and we can close out the file manager. And watch. It's going to do that. Depending upon your collection, the larger your collection, the more time it's going to take you doing this, okay? So let it do its thing, and by the time it's done, you'll have your Steam list up and ready to go. All right, it's done. And there it is. I don't even have to use the game setting updates, okay? It's there. Click on it, and there are all my games, huh? Pretty impressive. And they work too. All right, just go ahead and go to the first. Let me go to just the first one. I'll show you. That loads up. And let me pick another random game. And you can see it loads up, no problem. All right, you can see it works there. Now, let's go to the bottom of the list here. Let's see. Now, we do have one little bug here. Actually, we have two bugs. This is one of the first bugs here that has these two extra files there. You can go ahead and hide it by pressing the A button, hold down the A button, and you can go here, edit this game's metadata, and then from there you could either hide it or delete it, okay? Now, he is aware of this bug. I suspect by the time you watch this video, it's been fixed. probably get it done one day, okay? Nonetheless, if the fix is not there by the time you download Batocera Beta 32, just remember that you can hide or delete these two files, okay, without any trouble. And of course, the other bug is the fact that we can't update the list of the games if you're running this interface. You have to be in File Manager so that everything will work out well, okay? Once again, at our website, BatoCeraNation.com, we have a page dedicated to Flatpak, okay? So the top section will talk about how you can install Flatpak into your Batocera system. And then the bottom half will talk about how to install Steam for your Batocera system with all the detailed instructions, okay? So make sure you take a look at that before you proceed with your Steam project. So finally, I want to give Nicholas a nice shout out for doing all the tremendous work he's done to get this up and running. He's done a wonderful job to get Steam up and running for us. And you took my suggestions, and I really appreciate all that. In fact, there's a team of 20 people who are involved behind the Batocera project. And so thank you all for making this a reality for us. Okay, so that is a wrap. If you found this video useful, please go ahead and like it. That would really help me out with the YouTube algorithms. And this is your first time watching Batocera Nation, please go ahead and check out our website, BatoCeraNation.com. That will give you a great overview of Batocera, and that will help you to determine whether Batocera is right for you for your gaming needs. So for my next tutorials, I have a series of Flatpak apps I'm going to cover. Something for everyone, including for retro gamers. I mentioned that because I had a few that weren't too crazy about Steam running in Batocera, since they mostly want to focus on retro gaming. The good news is that I have something cooking for retro gamers as well. So everyone will be happy with the next series of tutorials, so you don't want to miss them. And if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and consider subscribing. I've got a lot more tutorials coming up. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Batocera Nation. Bye.